valid parentheses. So given a string S contains just the character like this, and determines if the input string is valid. Input string is valid if 1. Open brackets must be closed by the same type of bracket. Second is brackets must be closed in the correct orders. Lastly, every closed bracket have a corresponding open bracket of the same type. So we know that in the interviewer is just putting this one, so we need to come up with the example to fully understand this. So in the example 1 here, we have this. This is really easy example. You know, row brackets must be closed with the row brackets as well. So it's written true. And this one, example 3 is invalid input. So with the row open brackets, it cannot go with the square closing bracket. So it's written false. In the understanding step, we can ask the interviewers some questions like, so if the input string is empty strings, what would happen in that case? The interviewers can answer that there's no input string, is empty, because the S length is more than 1. Next, we can have a edge case, like what about like just the closing bracket? We not have any opening bracket. So it can be the edge case. So let's move on to plan and matching step. Okay, so in this step, we have the example of valid string here. This one is a classical problem for stack. We know that we need to find, for each opening bracket, we need to have the closing bracket with the same type. So we can use the stack in here. So firstly, we have a stack. And then in here, we go through the string. The first one is the opening bracket. So we can put it into the stack here. And we do nothing else. And then we move on to the second one, is the closing bracket. And we know that the closing bracket must have the opening bracket the same type previously. So we know that the top elements in the stacks need to matching the type with the closing brackets that we currently in. So we check the top element here is a row opening bracket here. And then it's the same type. So we need to pop it out. And then check whether there's currently closing bracket here. And if it's the same type, then we continue. So when we continue, we go to this part. So this one is, we encounter the opening bracket again. So we know that we put it to the stack. Okay, and then move on to the next one. Next one is also the closing bracket. So we need to throw there's one inside the stack here. And inside the stack, we see that we have the square opening bracket. So it's matching the type. So we pop it out. And then next we have the curly's opening bracket. So we put it into the stack here and then move on. And then the last one is the closing bracket. So we see the top elements here in the stack is matching the type or not. And it's matching, so we pop it out. And then we know this one will return of true. As we walk through the example in here, we can have this algorithm like this. So the first one is whenever you see the opening bracket, open bracket, then you will put it into the stack, to stack. Next you see the close bracket. Then you have to do some step here. Take the top element in stack. And then when we take it out, we check if top element is the same type with the closing bracket, close bracket. Okay, if it's the same type, then we know that we continue, and if not, then we can return false, right? False. And then next, let's see the invalid strings. So invalid. So we can have a string like this. Okay, so for this one, we know that it will return false. And we do the similar things. So we also have a stack here. Just build a stack, a small stack here. Okay, so firstly we go to this one. We know that in the opening bracket, as we'll put it into the stack. So put it into the stack here, and then move on. Next one is also opening bracket, so we also move it to the stack as well. And then we go to the last one. Now it's this closing bracket here, so we check the top element in the stack. So the top element in the stack is the opening row bracket here, and then check if it's matching the type. It's not matching with the currently we have here, so we just return false. false here. But with the kind of similar to that, if we have this kind, then it's still there false, right? Because when we put it into the stack like this, and then we come to the left, check it with the top element here, it's matching type. So we delete that. But then we don't have any else to match with this. So we know that if we at the end of the list and still have some things inside our stack, then we also return false. So the third one in here, so after we go through on the for loop, stack is empty or not, is empty, right? Yeah, so I think we covered forming the algorithm here, and we covered have some pseudocode here. So let's move on to coding step. I will do it in Java, but I also have Python solutions in the description below, so please check it out if you're familiar with Python more. Okay, so in here I will make a hash map to cover storing the opening and closing brackets, make sure it's matching type, just a more convenient way to compare whether it's to check if whether the two brackets is the same type or not. So just put I just put characters. We both know we need to store characters for the bracket. So here's map here. Okay, so in map here I will put in the closing bracket. No, that's closing bracket of this one. The row one we're matching with the opening bracket like this. And then we also need to put in the square bracket here, and then matching with the open square bracket. Next we put in the last one. It's the curly brace bracket here. Okay, not that one. Okay, now we have convenient way to do this. We will move on to the main things. So create a stack of character here. Just go and stack for convenient here. Stack. Okay. Once we have our stacks, we know that we need a for loop to go through the whole string. So just go through it. String.length here, and I++ here. Okay. Okay, actually that. So in here, we know that we need to get the current characters inside the string. So we have the current character by char at here at I. Once we have current characters, we need to check whether if it is their opening bracket or closing bracket. So we can check it really easily with the map.contains key, because we know all the key in here is closing brackets. So if map contains the current characters, so we know that is a closing bracket. So when it's a closing bracket, we need to know if the stack is empty or not. If the stack is empty and it is a closing bracket, so we know that it cannot be happen and it will be returned false because it's not having any matching opening bracket before it. And then we go to else. In here we need to check the top elements inside the stack. So in here I will stop element, top element. This will be stack.pop. Once we have top elements, we need to check whether the top element is equal to our current. No, actually we compare the openings, right? We need to map.get the current character. Once this is correct, then we move on. But once this is not equal, then we know that we can return false right away. And in the if here, if this is not the closing bracket, then we know that this is opening bracket. So we just add it to the stack. Stack.add. We know that the current character is what we set in here. And then if we go through on the loop and we didn't see anything, we just return whether stack is empty or not. Right? Because if it still have something inside the stack, then it means that we didn't have enough closing bracket to the opening bracket. So this one, so we finish implement it. So just let's test it out with a really easy one here. Okay, so with this, we need a stack here. So firstly, we having the stack and then current character here. So inside the for loop here, current character we have is a row open bracket here. And then since it's an opening, so we will add it into the stack. So the stack will having just this character. Yeah, just have this character. And then we go to the character, we move on to the next one. So it is this character. And we know that it's a closing brackets by contain key here. And then stack is not empty, so we go to else here. The top element here is, so the top element, this would be pop out this, and this will be this. So this we compare it to the matching type. Character have matching type is the square one here. So the square one is not matching with the row, so we just return false here. False because of this part. So I think this one will work. Just check it out in this one. Oh, my bad. This is empty here. Let's do it again. Okay, so it's all except here. Okay, so this one have the time complexities is we have to go to one for loop in here. So it will be big of n. And for the space complexities, let's have the stack here. In the worst case, it will add on the opening bracket inside the stack. So that one will be also big of n as well. So to make sure everything works, let's try to submit this. Okay, as you see in here, we have successfully completed this challenge. So this one is 90% more than there's faster than there's on the submissions inside for these problems. So I think we have pretty good challenge in here. Please let me know if you have any questions and more challenge you want to see. Please like and subscribe to my channels. Thank you.